What's up, world? Welcome back to another episode of What You Need to Know. I hope you like the new setup. Kind of still experimenting with it, so if you have any ideas for ways that I could try to spice things up or, you know, make things a little bit more cinematic. The news is going crazy right now. It seems like it's been a hectic weekend with Trump going to talk to Putin and having the B 2 bombers fly over him, and then really all the events that have followed from that. We are going to cover college town safety, ranking the top 10 most dangerous college campuses since school's about to start. We're going to cover the Steam situation a little bit. Briefly, there's been some backlash about Visa MasterCards. They're really trying to limit people's ability to purchase. Gotta go back over here. That's way darker than I thought. And then we're gonna cover AI, existential threat. So yeah, it's definitely a busy news day. So let's just jump right into it. We have an article from the BBC. I also have an article from Fox. BBC: No going into NATO by Ukraine, says Trump as Zelensky prepares for White House talks. So first, and actually, I'll play the clip real quickly of Trump pretty much G-checking Putin, who was epic and one of the most legendary things from a U.S. president that I've ever seen and that I think has ever happened. So real quickly, I'll put that onto the screen. Now, there's some mixed reporting following the whole entire situation between Trump and Putin. Now, the left wing media is trying to make it seem like Trump just gave in to Putin. Like, Putin got everything that he wanted out of the situation. The most common thing that people keep saying is that Trump rolled out the red carpet for Putin, which I haven't really looked into. I'm not sure if this was the first time that a president ever walked with a foreign leader on a red carpet during peace negotiations, but I don't think that that should be that unusual, but I don't know for sure. But essentially, Trump and Putin met, and Trump is advising Zelensky to take Putin's deal. The big line in the sand is that we cannot allow Ukraine to become a part of NATO. Russia doesn't want it. At the end of the Soviet Union, that was the agreement that Ukraine was to act as a buffer between Europe and Russia. And for whatever reason, these Europeans, I mean, I guess not for whatever reason, they're attempting to destroy the continent. But working against their best interest, these Europeans are just dead set on destroying Ukraine by consistently insisting that we do bring them into NATO. Now, the conversation is starting to grow into an Article 5 like situation. So instead of actually having them be a part of NATO, they would just have all the NATO benefits without being a part of NATO, except for America wouldn't be backing them. Zelensky isn't for that, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's go into this article a little bit. So, Donald Trump has said that the Ukrainian president can end Russia's war, quote, if he wants to. But there will be, quote, no going into NATO by Ukraine, end quote, as part of the peace deal. Hours before he was due to host Zelensky at the White House, Trump also said there would be, quote, no getting back, end quote, the Crimean Peninsula, which Moscow illegally annexed in 2014, 8 years before launching its full-scale invasion. Trump's remarks follow his summit with Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Alaska that resulted in the U.S. president dropping a demand for a ceasefire and calling instead for a permanent peace deal. See, I love the fact that when Trump went over there, first thing that he did is he flew those B-2 bombers over Putin's head, essentially saying, I could end you right now. Don't get cocky. Remember who you're dealing with. And then after showing that potential of force, he decided not to act like the world police. He decided not to put us into a deeper war situation, but he essentially just acted as a mediator, saying, look, I could end you. I'm not going to. What we're going to do instead is we're going to allow you guys to negotiate. And consistently, they keep saying that they want Trump and they want Putin and Zelensky to sit together and talk this out. After arriving in the United States late on Sunday, Zelensky repeated his call for allies' effective security guarantees. It really annoys me that this weird comedian actor dude that has been put into this shadow puppet position has the goal to keep on demanding things from us. It it's so disrespectful. As Americans, we cannot support helping people that want to treat us this way. The United States envoy said on Sunday that Putin had agreed to a possible NATO-like security pact for Ukraine. And remember, that means that the United States cannot be involved with it. If Europe wants to have some sort of an agreement with them, Russia isn't worried about that. They're worried about World War III breaking out over this. Deadly Russian attacks on Ukrainian towns and cities continued hours before the summit in Washington, killing at least 10 people, including children. In the northeastern city of Kharkiv, probably saying that wrong, at least 7 people were killed after a Russian drone hit an apartment block. Mayor Thor Terekov said at least 3 were killed in Zaporizhia, officials said. I'm not going to say any of those right, just you're going to have to accept that. Quote, Putin will commit demonstrative killings to maintain pressure on Ukraine and Europe, as well as to humiliate diplomatic efforts. That is precisely why we are seeking assistance to put an end to the killings, he said. Earlier, Trump posted on his Truth Social platform saying President Zelensky of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to, or he can continue to fight. Which is the situation that it was last time when he came over here and just disrespected us in the White House, which was one of the most bizarre things that I have witnessed. 30 years of life. All right, over on Fox News, title, Zelensky heads into crucial Trump meeting as United States weighs security guarantees for Kiev. Zelensky will be flanked by key European allies, a diplomatic overture that signals Europe's unwavering support for Ukraine. A diplomatic overture that signals Europe's unwavering support for Ukraine. I genuinely do not understand why all of these Eastern countries, and I'm counting Europe, I don't get why they're all so dead set on becoming communist. It's starting to rub off here in America too, don't get me wrong. It's been happening for like a decade, but Europe is our future if we're not careful. So on Fox, it says Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky heads into a high stakes White House meeting with President Donald Trump on Monday as Washington considers security guarantees for Kiev and debate intensifies for Kiev over whether land concessions to Russia could end the war. I do think that that is what it's going to take, is at least some level of land concessions. There's a lot of parts of the eastern section of Ukraine that would not have any issue with joining Russia. I think that we could figure out a way to negotiate this, but I don't think that Zelensky will ever be willing to move on this issue. And because of that, I don't think that we're going to see peace. The upcoming meeting comes on the heels of Trump's summit with Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Anchorage on Friday, where the United States leader shifted from demanding a ceasefire to calling for a final peace deal, which is what we need. We need somebody that has the cojones to show these people that we have the power to stop it, and it's up to you to do it. Zelensky welcomed the revelations during a Sunday press conference alongside European Commission President Ursula. I probably said that wrong. It's important that America agrees to work with Europe to provide security guarantees for Ukraine, and we are thankful to the United States under the president for such a signal. It's really funny that Zelensky thinks that he can say it's important that America agrees to work with Europe and we're thankful that they will. We cannot work with Europe in this. Ukraine is not our problem. It is not worth us going into World War III for this corrupt little part of the world just because they have a little bit of, corn and stuff. We have every capability here in America to make things happen. And you can see here that, quote, impossible to give up territory or trade land. Zelensky is not going to be willing to negotiate this. So if you ask me, this whole entire situation is going to be moot because in a couple of days, they're just going to have a big falling out again. We'll probably have a big spectacle where Zelensky disrespects us. And it'll probably create a level of tension here in America that we haven't seen in regards to this since going back to the end of the school year last year. It's really important as Americans that we just stop trying to be the world police. It's weird to me that the left used to be the party that would argue against war. They were the ones that were adamant that George Bush should be tried for war crimes because he was waterboarding people, and I was with it. I totally agree. But now we have all of these leftists warmongering worse than the Republicans ever did during the peak of their warmongering. Maybe that's a little bit hyperbolic, but I don't think it's too far off from the truth. Zelensky is trying to put us in a really bad position. And I really think that we need to look into him the way that Candace has been looking into Macron. Not in the idea that he's trans or whatever, but the idea that he is truly a puppet. How did he get this position of power? Just because he was a dude on a TV show that used to play the president over there. I don't understand how this is even a reality that is realistic. It's not like he was Donald Trump with all of this money and the ability. Like, he had to have been strategically put into this position to do this. And then we have to ask ourselves, was he put into the TV show where he was playing the president strategically for this moment? In which case, how far back did the plan to make him president go? I would say probably after the United States overthrew their government back in like 2013, 2014. It's a really wild time. Very wild. So moving on, the school year is starting, and it seems like every year now we're getting more and more attacks on campuses and just a level of growing fear in America in regards to sending their kids to school that we have never seen. It's weird to me thinking back on how I was taught about Columbine as a kid, and I really almost think that the way that they did it has created this glorification process that is just making it more and more common for these atrocities to take place. But it's not just mass shootings that we have to worry about. Crime in the United States is going up all over the place, especially in the cities, and our universities are primarily in larger cities. So, because of that, Fox News compiled a list, and I thought it would be worth doing a brief cover and breakdown on the top 10 most dangerous schools in the United States and just, maybe just briefly talk about the situation of crime in this country. Now, I'm pretty sure that it's in order from most dangerous to least dangerous. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go backwards. So, number 10, the 10th most dangerous college in America is Bloomington, Indiana University. Bloomington, Indiana rounds out the top 10 with 85 crimes per 10,000 residents. From 2023 to 2024, the Bloomington Police Department reported a 24% drop in violent crime. So while it did make the top 10, crime is going down. But that's true all over the country. As much as things have been going up, Trump has really implemented a lot of law and order, and I think that we're going to continue to see huge drops like this. The ninth most dangerous college in the United States, East Lansing, Michigan. East Lansing reports 90 crimes per 10,000 residents, with incidents clustered near busy student corridors and nightlife hubs. I've spent a lot of time out in East Lansing, so I can attest there was a huge problem with people stealing iPhones for a while. There's just been countless issues out there as far as that goes. Number 8, Cedar City, Utah, Southern Utah University. So Cedar City's crime rate of 91 per 10,000 residents places it 8th on the list, Cedar City's crime rate of 91 per 10,000 residents places it 8th on the list, with most incidents concentrated in low traffic residential areas. The 7th most dangerous university in America, Iowa City, with 109 crimes per 10,000 residents, which is getting up there, but I mean, it could still be worse considering how bad some places are. Logan, Utah, Utah State University at 112 crimes per 10,000 residents. Ithaca, New York, Cornell University / Ithaca College. That's crazy. 120 crimes per 10,000 residents. We really need to figure out a way to make our school safe again. Number 4 on the list, New Haven, Connecticut, Yale University. Who would have thought that Yale would be one of the most dangerous places in America? I guess, though, from a criminal's perspective, it's going to be filled with wealthy, smart people, so why not target it, I guess? We need to figure out a way to make our campuses safe. The 3rd most dangerous university in America is Arizona State University with 136 crimes per 10,000 residents. Number 2 on our list is the University of Alabama with 149 crimes per 10,000 residents. And the most dangerous university in America is the University of Florida with 179 incidents per 10,000 residents. If young people are not able to participate in American culture, then there is no American culture. Towards the end of the week, last week, I covered the decrease in alcohol sales that have been really sweeping the country. And when you see how dangerous our universities are, and right here, quote, when it comes to nightlife, McDonald's said you don't ever want to leave anybody at the bar. If people are terrified to go out, how are they going to spend money to fix our economy? How are we ever going to have the culture that makes America America? We used to have a centralized area for people, a hub, and that was the bar, that was the coffee shop, that was where people would go and hang out. And the more dangerous that our cities get, the worse off that we're going to be in regards to being able to go and spend money. More people won't spend money. We're starting to see a huge uptick in people becoming farmers and homesteaders. If you want the economy to work the way that it always has, you have to convince people it is safe to go out. Otherwise, everywhere is going to turn into San Francisco, where the businesses are leaving in mass numbers. You won't be able to go to Starbucks or Walmart because they won't be there. I don't know why Democrats think that this is such a taboo issue, because they're the ones that are being affected by this the most. A lot of the conservatives and conservative leaning people have either already left the cities or were never in the cities to begin with. The only people that are going to be stuck with this are the people that voted for it. And I know there's a lot of people that drop into my comments like they deserve it, let them take over these cities. At the end of the day, this is still America. We cannot give up our land, we cannot give up our cities, and we cannot give up our freedom for any reason. So, speaking of things that just cannot continue, I have an article from Polygon going over Steam and the censorship that is starting to take place in regards to the payment processors refusing to allow transactions on their site. First, every single one of these payment processors, just like our phone or electricity, this is a utility. I would love to hear a legal theory on why it's not a utility. It is a necessity. And what they are going to do is create a radicalization where people are going to be no longer okay with working with the banks. People are going to completely detach themselves from the system if we feel that we cannot just buy things that we want to buy. It is not up to you to tell me that this game is too graphic. Oh, you guys covered the Roman Empire and there was a little bit of sex in it, which is historically accurate, so now you're done. Now, I know that's not what's happening, but that is what will happen. Right now, it's, oh, we have these not safe for work games where, you're playing, I don't know, like pin the clothes on the naked girl. I don't know what they're doing, but there's very graphic games that I don't necessarily condone people playing per se. I mean, you're American, do whatever you want. But it is not up to a payment processor to say that you can't purchase it. What's next? You're going to say that I can't buy The Wolf of Wall Street because there's too much nudity? You don't have the right to tell us that. You don't get to dictate my freedom. This is the beginning of the social credit score. Coupled with the ID verification that it seems like all of these platforms are trying to implement, this is how they completely take you out of reality. Oh, you said something wrong. Well, now you can't go to that hotel. You can't get on a plane. You can't buy food. You can't buy new clothes. You can't get that house. Your social credit is going to be impacted, and they're going to have a way to track it and stop you from buying stuff. It's one of the most anti American movements that has ever happened. And I know it's taken a lot of public note in the last few weeks, but people are not aware of how serious this really is. If you recently tried to purchase a game on Steam, perhaps you noticed that you can no longer use PayPal as a remittance or payment. It's not a temporary bug, but another consequence of Steam's ongoing battle with payment processors like Visa and MasterCard. In a quote provided to Rock Paper Shotgun, Valve clarified that the disappearance of PayPal is related to offering different types of, quote, content on Steam, end quote, much like the issue, quote, surrounding MasterCard, end quote. Quote, in this case, one of PayPal's acquiring banks decided to stop processing any Steam transactions, which cut off PayPal and Steam for a number of currencies, end quote, a rep said. The 15-minute cities, the ID verification, the contact tracing from COVID, all of these things are coming true if this gets to happen. If we allow these payment processors to regulate what we can buy, it is the end of freedom, it is the end of autonomy, and it is the number one reason to go back to a cash system. I 100% do not want to have to use a bank. It has been a huge inconvenience because I was trying to detach myself from banks a little bit, and it's not possible. You just can't do that. I feel like the situation with PayPal is by far one of the most dangerous that has ever existed. But the PayPal situation is going to get a lot worse as AI gets better, which is what the next article is about. Title: An Existential Threat. For Silicon Valley, falling behind in AI is a bigger threat than tariffs. It's so funny how CNN is convinced that tariffs are going to be bad, but I really think that they're going to be one of the best things for our country. I really would love to see them work and be able to get rid of our tax situation. That's a whole nother conversation, but that said, New York. If there's one thing the White House, Wall Street, and Silicon Valley can agree on, it's that artificial intelligence is a top priority. Tech giants are pouring billions into new data centers and infrastructures to support the technology. The White House came out with an AI action plan in July to boost America's leadership in the space, underscoring the tech's importance to the administration. Wall Street keeps pushing AI related stocks like Nvidia to new records. But President Donald Trump's trade war has raised questions about whether the administration's policies could work against its big AI push. Certain tariffs could raise the cost of materials and components necessary to support those AI models. Why don't we do it here? I know there might be some materials that we can't just get from America, but a lot of them we can, and a lot of them we should. I don't understand this huge anti American economy that Americans have, worried about pollution and things like that. We have way bigger fish to fry. We won't be around to see the earth be polluted if we don't fix things. We need to fix our economy. We need to fix pollution, but we cannot die to fix pollution. And that's what we're going to do if we don't start mining our own resources here. Big tech is pouring billions into AI. With Meta, Microsoft, and Google reported earnings in late July, one message rang loud and clear. Big tech is spending big on AI, and it's starting to pay off. Meta spent 17 billion, Microsoft spent 24 billion. It's crazy how much money is going into this, and it's just the beginning. AI is going to take over everything if we're not careful. We need to have really good systems and policies in place in order to prevent this from becoming one of the biggest catastrophic changes to mankind in human history. Because the only way that we can survive this is with really good and careful planning. The more that we sit back and we just allow things to happen, thinking that there's nothing that we can do about it, the worse it's going to be for everybody in existence. Yeah, it's a really wild time. Um, what do you guys think is going to happen with this whole Putin Zelensky meeting? Do you think that they're actually going to reach peace, or do you think that Zelensky's going to blow it all up again because he isn't getting his way the way that he thinks that he should? That's what I think. I genuinely do not believe that Zelensky's ever going to make a compromise. He's not going to give up any land. He is going to continue this war. And if he has his way about it, he's going to escalate it to the point of a nuclear war. Same thing could happen very easily with Israel and Iran as well. Because as much as, and I know a lot of you see it, I post a lot of stuff about Iran and Islam and what's going on over there. But that is not to justify Israel murdering women and children and innocents that have nothing to do with it, and radicalizing more people and committing literal genocide over there. Yes, I am adamantly and vehemently against Islam. I do not think that it's good. I don't think it's conductive or conducive for a good society. But I don't think what Israel is doing to innocent women and children over there is fine either. Just because there are radicals that have taken over their society doesn't mean that every single person over there deserves it. But just like what's happening there, the situation in Ukraine could easily spiral into a World War III situation. And the whole time that we're sitting here looking at this, China is just staring down Taiwan, waiting to, as this article says, be the existential threat. They want to have all the chips. They want to have the most advanced AI. And we have no idea where they really are. There's all these reports recently about the Chinese economy being misrepresented. We don't know if they're misrepresenting it. We don't know if they're not. We don't know if it's worse than they say. It could also be way better. Maybe they want us to underestimate them. I don't think that's the case. I think they have way too many people that it's just not sustainable. A lot of them are just peasants living like serfs and slaves, and it's not it's not going to end well over there. But we don't know what's actually happening, and for anybody to pretend that we do, it's just disingenuous and going to cause way more issues for everybody on earth. So yeah, what do you think about all of this? Do you have any stories that you think that I should cover? I'm still kind of learning how to do all this. I'm figuring out, I'm getting my systems. So I appreciate you all bearing with me while I figure it. And if you enjoy my videos, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on all social media platforms at Brian D Exclusive. Don't hesitate to donate if you support me. I really appreciate any support that you get, whether that's just donating a compliment or donating $1. It all means the world to me. If you do want to support the channel in that way, I have a Cash App, also Brian D Exclusive. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.